So today is our first The Village Co-Mom Conversation podcast. This is the first time that Nikki and I have even answered any of these questions. We haven't even talked about them. We just wrote them down to keep us ourselves on the objective, but it's going to be real. It's going to be raw because it's not always easy. And we definitely haven't always been in the place that we're at now. So we're excited for y'all to come along. So I guess we will introduce ourselves and start there. Nikki, you want to go first?
My name is Nikki. I am married to Haley's ex-husband. I have two daughters of my own, Kinsley and Karis Joe, and then we have the three boys, McCoy, Bryant, and Riggs. I should have said that in age order. But I work in Tuscaloosa as a aesthetic and wellness coordinator at Lush Med Spa. And so I work full time, and then I am a mom full time also.
And I'm Haley. I am married to Justin, and we have the boys, Bryant, McCoy, and Riggs. And I have a stepson, Braxton. So I'm a mom and stepmom. We both are moms and stepmoms. So that helps because we can kind of sometimes put ourselves in the other shoes. And Justin and I have a 4-month-old baby Branham. You may hear some cooing in the background because she's going to make her debut. I'm sure at some point she's going to want to be held. But I do hair in Tuscaloosa. And like Nikki said, full-time working mom. So I think that one thing that when we started talking about an outline and kind of how we're going to get started, what we want to talk about, it was important to just start from the beginning, who we are and what people assume about our relationship. Because I think that's, for me, been the biggest struggle. Because I think looking back in hindsight, the hardest parts were when others tried to say, did you see that? Did you see this? And I think a lot of times it was other people that kept the drama going.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like every time I would go see somebody at the ballpark or anything, they'd be like, what's the latest drama with Haley? What's going on? Did you see that she posted this or whatever? So it was definitely other people.
And I think, one of the questions we wanted to go over is kind of like what the turning point for our relationship was. And I think for me, like when we started to choose peace over pettiness, it was super easy for someone to sit in my chair at the salon and say, Nikki posted a TikTok today. I think it was about you. Rather it was or wasn't, it would put that in my mind. And then I always kind of had that in the back of my mind. So it was easy to like bend into that pettiness to like make one back or to keep feeding into it. And the reality is it might not even have been about Nikki. And I think she would probably say the same thing.
For sure.
And I think that we've had to get to a better place. Like I posted a TikTok like a few weeks ago, and Nikki had to like send me a message and be like, hey, this kind of felt like a jab. And I didn't intend it to be that way, but it's easier now for us to be like, hey, was this like this kind of felt, so that it gives me the opportunity to say, I never meant it that way and I'm sorry. So I think communication too.
For sure.
Like, just so that we always don't think the other one is after.
Yeah, and I feel like that we are just now at a place to where we can have those conversations, like not, like, hey, and we can talk about it and not just assume like, oh, that was definitely about me.
Mm-hmm. I think that so this far we've seen that like the unity between like for the kids has been so good to see. Like just at the ballpark when I see them like glance up at us and like their family unit is sitting together, like their stepmom and their dad and me and Justin and Nikki's holding the baby. Like I just think from the kids' standpoint when they're out there on the field, it doesn't matter like how messy us adults can make it. That when they look up there, all they see is like a lot of people that love them.
I agree. I feel like it hasn't always been that way. And even before like the podcast we even thought about that. We have made an effort for a long time to try and get along for the kids. Like me and Kinsley were talking about last night, and I said, like I sit with Haley at every basketball game, and she was like, even back during baseball season, y'all were sitting together. And so I feel like this has been a long time coming. And so
I actually had a PE teacher at the boys' school come up to me around Thanksgiving when we were like trying to find a way, because at Thanksgiving you could only had 2 people that could come to Thanksgiving feast. Well, they have 4 parents. And so the PE teacher actually told me after, she was like, y'all really should like teach a class. Like y'all co-parent so well. And I kind of giggled because I was like, well, like 4 years ago we were in mediation. Like
Right.
this has not always been, and I truly think for me it's been like a spiritual thing.
Right.
I think if I view everything out of like my own flesh, like it's really easy to just be like to get really protective, very like, is somebody trying to take my place? As a mom, you feel like, and I'm sure you on the other side of it because you are a mom also with stepkids, like you start to feel like that relation, like that mom relationship is at risk, and you feel like, is someone trying to take that from me? And so learning to share it is like a major learning curve.
Mm-hmm. I don't feel like I have ever been in the same situation with Karis Joe. Like, she has a stepmom or whatever, but I don't feel like I've ever thought that she was trying to take my place. I feel like I was in a situation before where the person I was with was not nice to my kids, and their family was not nice to my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just super thankful that her stepmom does love her and she enjoys to go there and cares about her and all those things. So it was never like, oh, I think that she's doing this because she's trying to replace me. It was just like, thank God somebody's being nice to my kid.
Mm-hmm. I think, and this, we'll kind of follow up a little bit more on this on episode 2, but I feel like for me, one of the hard parts about that is that Riggs was so little.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a baby. So when their dad and I separated, Riggs was almost 2. So he was still a baby. And so even though looking back, I see that he had a woman there that rocked him to sleep and sang to him, in that moment, it hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It was, seeing a picture of someone else rocking your baby to sleep, and you feel like, these are like, I'm gonna like get emotional, but these are like his impressionable years.
Mm-hmm.
And there's somebody else, and really it was my own brokenness. And I was thinking this morning when we were in church, and I got so emotional in church because I started thinking, like, backstory. Their dad and I were like really involved in church, and I felt like they were like hearing the gospel, and then life took a turn, and I made some choices that I'm not proud of, and it built on my testimony now, looking back. But I just, today during church, during worship, all I could think about was like God's redemptive story.
Mm-hmm.
And, Braxton and his situation and everything. Like God was, he did, I don't think that was his plan for me to do all the crazy things. But I think that God took that and he made it into this.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, like, you're broken and you just screwed it all up. But and you and Nikki are not going to start off on the right foot probably, but we're gonna make this a message. And so I just, looking down the aisle today with like our kids watching all of us worship, and I just felt like, man, as humans, like we just mess it all up.
Yep.
But thank God, like he redeems, because that's, every family doesn't look the same. And I remember being brought up in a broken family, and I never wanted that for my kids. I was like, I will never get a divorce. I want my parents to have a 2-parent household. That was the biggest pressure that I felt growing up, was this is what I want my kids to have, this white picket fence family.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they didn't, I felt like I'd failed. But then today I saw, we're like, God's not finished, and he's still going to use it.
Why we wanted to start this podcast. For me, when Cooper and I got married, I would talk to other co-parents about like their situations, their drama going on. We would share our stories about how awful the exes were, and now we handle things differently. So I feel like still talking to the same co-parents, like I have a different perspective and outlook on it, and I can use that for good versus just feeding into, oh yeah, the ex is this.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I feel like both of us are in like the beauty industry, and we're in front of women all day, and like we're like their therapists.
mm-hmm.
They sit in our chair and they tell us like whatever's, we're usually the first to find out if they're like having a baby or getting a divorce or whatever. And so it, just talking to like people one on one, or like the PE teacher coming up and saying like, y'all really do this really well. or different people at the ballpark saying, y'all do well with this co-parenting thing because it is countercultural. It's very easy to be at war with each other. It's very easy to keep drama going. And so I think that once Nikki mentioned it, I was kind of like, I don't know anything about podcasts, but we'll give it a try.
Yeah, and I feel like from this podcast, hopefully people can come to us, like, how do you handle this? Or, ask advice, because I feel like we have kind of dealt not only between us, but with our kids' other parents also,
Mm-hmm.
like a little bit of everything. So,
Mm-hmm. And like I just wanted to say that like we're not perfect. Like we don't have it figured out and we're still navigating it and we still go through stuff that we never walked through, and I'm sure as the kids get older we will continue to. And so we don't have the answers. We can pray with you, we can tell you our experience, we can be a safe place that you feel like you're not alone. But at the end of the day, like we're sinners and we're probably going to mess it up too. There's going to be some day somewhere down the road that I'm probably going to do something that offends Nikki, maybe unknowingly. We're going to have that hard conversation. So we don't have it figured out, but we do feel like the Lord's leading us to share, and He can use sinners to get a message. So we just want to be a safe place for you guys to come. Um, we want it to be real. You can DM us, you can reach out to us. We just really want it to feel like a community because it can feel very lonely when you're walking through those moments.
for sure. What you can expect from this podcast: hard truths, things that you probably don't want to hear, that are not easy to hear, and hopefully some insight on how to make things easier for yourself, your spouse, your family, your kids.
Yeah, just real moments. I'm sure there'll be some life moments, like if our kids are currently going through something. Once we get past introductions and stuff, I'm sure that there'll be something our kids are going through that will give us different topics to talk
Mm-hmm.
about. Also, I want you to know that if you ever message us, that is completely confidential. If we ever talk about a topic that was like emailed in, we will never mention your name. It is a safe place, and so we never want you to feel intimidated by that either. But we're so glad that y'all are here, and we don't really know what the Lord's going to do with it, but we're excited to see.